Of that, her mother and her father would help her with rent. So I told her that would be okay, and so I allowed her to start, slowly and gradually moving her things in.
How many bedrooms do you have?
It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
So she moved into one of the bedrooms?
Yes.
In February. And when did she leave?
She left in May when I told her to move her things.
You were working all that time?
Yes, I was.
Why didn't you pay her rent?
Because we never had an agreement to pay rent.
Why would she take care of you? You moved into her apartment, you had your own bedroom, you have your own bathroom. Why wouldn't you pay her rent?
Because the only time that I came to stay with her, my father did have problems.
I don't care what the reason is. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Well, 21 years old.
And
you
I
have
was
a job.
living with my family.
You have a job. Are you telling me you didn't live with her?
I stayed with her from time to time. I didn't live with her for a constant, month after month. I'm sorry, she did live with me. I did stay with her, and I would go home or stay with someone else.
Hey! Your problem is you don't have a mind, because if you had a mind, you would remember what you signed, which was your sworn statement. You want me to read it to you?
You can if you want.
We never once had a conversation about rent prior to me moving in. In April, my family was evicted from their place and was scrambling to find a new home. She allowed my family also to store new things in her apartment. Although I stayed there part of the time, I did bounce from place to place.
Yes. I never moved in permanently. She let me stay there.
Give me the name of the people that you bounced to.
My witness, Latice, and then I went back home with my family.
Last name?
Hampton.
When did she stay with you?
She started staying at my house in May, the beginning of May.
May? Thank you. You may sit down. We're not interested in May. We're interested in February, March, and April.
I never moved in February. I was still at home. She doesn't have a specific date that I moved in.
What stuff do you have at her house that you're counterclaiming for?
I do have a suitcase of clothes.
So you have clothes?
Yes.
What else do you have? You said you have my personal...
In the suitcase, I have a mirror that my sister bought me for Christmas. The suitcase is stuff that we were packing up from the house that my family had to move out of. That's why that suitcase is there. I do have clothes there when I would stay with her. That's the other stuff.
I want to know where else you would bounce to. You said you bounced.
I would go back home. I would go back home and stay with my family.
They were evicted in April.
No, they weren't.
Yes, you said my family was evicted in April.
Not in April, because we just moved out.
In April 2009, my family was evicted from their place.
I never said in April that...
Would you show this to her, please? That's your statement. That's your signature at the bottom.
I know what it says.
So is it wrong?
My family did not get evicted in April. They were still at their house.
So I'm asking you a question. When you wrote that down and swore to it, it was wrong.
Yes, the date is wrong.
Give it back to me. How much rent did you pay your family?
I never paid rent for my family.
Well, you got to pay somebody rent, madam.
I never moved in. We never had an agreement.
You got to pay somebody rent where you're living.
If we had an agreement, yes, I would pay rent. If I never signed anything...
You don't have to sign anything. If we signed it, then I'd be out of a job. Signed it makes it easy. So now, let us say I believe you, which I don't, that you weren't there all the time, you didn't live there, you never formally moved in, you never signed anything, whatever else it was. Then she was just being nice to you, right?
Because she was my friend.
She was being nice to you, right?
Yes.
You explain to me why you gossiped behind her back to her boyfriend?
I did not gossip behind her back.
Really?
Her boyfriend texted me when she left for her cruise to Mexico. He texted me and asked, can I talk to you because I have issues with my girlfriend, Isla. I never responded back to him.
You never responded, so you never had any conversation with him?
No.
No, so just a second. So you never, well, then you must be wrong that you never had any conversation with him.
She is wrong.
You want me to call him and find out?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
The only time me and him talked was the night we were going out. All of us. And he asked me, Paris, I have a feeling that something's going on. And I told him, if you really believe something is going on, why don't you guys take a break so you can figure out your thing and she can figure out hers. She has been having issues with her boyfriend.
Jealous.
Yeah.
She's jealous.
Exactly.
Right. Did she have an arrangement with you to pay rent?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Yeah, I believe she did too. When did she move in February?
She moved in actually 2 days after Valentine's Day, so I'd say
Well,
the 16th.
so we're going to discount February. We're going to go right to March and April.
Yes, ma'am.
Those 2 months. And your total rent is what?
I would say $850.
Okay, so she was supposed to pay 4 1/4?
Yes, ma'am.
Now tell me about the car.
Well,
Make sure I get it right. Do you understand?
yes. Okay, well, the night before she drove my car, she had to rent a car because she did not have a vehicle. She went down to the club, and I guess she had the windows busted out. Somebody busted out the windows and stole her belongings.
In the rental car?
In her rental car, yes.
What did they steal?
They stole my purse
You left your purse in the rental car?
in the trunk, yes.
Go ahead.
So then, with the rest of her problems that she always had, she came to me crying, saying that somebody stole her things, she had nothing, and that she needed to use my vehicle. Because every excuse with using my vehicle was, my family doesn't have food, my family doesn't have money, my sister's left at school, my brother's left here, my brother's left here, can you please let me use your vehicle? So she always used my vehicle. So she got her windows busted or whatever, so the very next night she wanted to go downtown, and I said, you could use my car, please be careful.
And? Right.
So she came back with the vehicle. She actually came back with her boyfriend, and they got off the car, and I came outside, and I'm like, what happened to my car? She goes, what do you mean, what happened to my car? I'm like, my car is keyed, and it's really obvious. You could see it at night. The whole car was keyed. Somebody ran the whole key through it all around the frame, everything, and then somebody even kicked it in. Then she told me, oh, I don't know what happened, but I'll help you fix it, or I'll fix it.
Just a second. Did anybody that you know see what happened to the car?
No.
Okay, so what happened to the car was a criminal act.
Correct.
And she had your permission to drive the car.
Yes, ma'am.
She's not responsible for it.
Okay.
She's not responsible for someone else's criminal acts that are done to your car if she had the car with your permission. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. But she certainly owes you for rent. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $850. Make arrangements to pick up your suitcase within 5 days.
Okay.
Understood? Mm-hmm. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Brenda O'Henley and her brother Daniel are suing their former tenant, Jared Debnam, for unpaid rent and utilities. Jared says his living arrangements were substandard, so he's not paying.
You are brother and sister, is that correct?
Yes.
You bought a condo together?
Yes, 2 years ago.
You live together?
Yes.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Get along?
Yep.
Yeah?
Work
For
together
the most
too.
part.
Fabulous. How much was this condo?
It was $770,000. It's now worth $950,000.
Perfect. So you bought this condo and you did a very foolish thing. You decided to take in a third roommate.
Yes.
That would be you. And according to your complaint, he owes you a whole bunch of money for rent, and primarily for rent and utilities. Mr. Debnam says, well, there was never really a formal agreement about him paying so much per month, and he's got a whole host of other problems that he encountered while living with you. You moved a girlfriend in shortly after he moved in, so he didn't feel as if that was right. There was a leak, and some of his clothes got moldy, right?
Correct.
Have you always lived in the United States of America?
Yes, I have.
So you know that this is what we call a free country.
Correct.
If you don't like something, or if you don't like a place where you're living, what can you do?
Choose to move on?
Right. You don't choose to stay, kvetch, and don't pay. You move on to where there isn't a girlfriend, where there isn't a leak, where there isn't mold, but you don't stay and don't pay. Now, you lived there for a year, and you did pay some money in a bulk. You know, you didn't pay it by month because you were sort of not working, whatever. You got a check, and you gave them $4,000.
Well, that was just a part of the check from one of my financial aid checks.
Did you have your own bedroom?
Yes.
Did you have your own bathroom?
No.
Who did you share the bathroom with?
Everybody that used the house. As far as the communal upstairs bathroom, so it wasn't just my bathroom.
And what were you supposed to pay a month?
Before we moved in, I told him, being a graduating senior, that my money was based solely upon receiving periodic financial aid checks, at which time I told him this is how I would be able to pay him whatever money. And so he knew about this situation before.
Tell me what he knew.
He knew that I would be getting financial aid checks each semester.
Fine.
And that
So you
from
did
those
get a-
checks, I would pay him what I could towards the money for living at his place.
Without any set amount? So you could have given him, let's say, $500 for 6 months, and that would have been okay.
No, Your Honor. He wanted to pay, or come to a limit to pay $750 a month.
Okay. You know, I knew if you let you talk long enough, if I let you talk long enough, eventually we were going to get someplace close to the truth, sir. So, according to you, he wanted $750 a month, which you agreed to pay when you got your financial aid checks.
Correct.
How much did you give him?
A little less than $7,500 total.
So that would be for 10 months. Did he give you $7,500?
Overtime, yes.
So how much do you think he owes you?
I've come up with about $6,000.
For what?
Well, it was $750 plus utilities and a sticker for him to park his car. I actually have a breakdown of the whole payment history that
I don't need the whole payment history. If you acknowledge that he paid you $7,500, that's for 10 months. That means he owes you 3 months' rent, which is $2,250.
Well, do you not include utilities in that?
It does not include utilities,
Our
sir.
agreement included utilities.
Show me in writing. Well, what I'm telling you is, if you allow somebody to live with you for 13 months and do not collect utilities from them on a regular basis, I'm not going to waste my precious time, 2 graduate degrees, and go over month-to-month Con Edison bills. What I'm telling you is, if you got $750 a month from him, Mr. O'Henley, we wouldn't be standing here today.
Exactly.
Okay.
But
and that's exactly what I'm going to give you. $750 a month for 13 months. He's already paid you for 10, which means he owes you $2,250. Now, is there any reason why I shouldn't enter a judgment in that amount, sir?
Just for the living condition that I was provided with when living at this place. This is why he didn't receive, or what I feel he got paid the full amount of what I was provided living at this place.
That's why we talked about a free country,
Correct.
Mr. Debnam.
Correct. And so
Free
that
country
was my
means
only
you.
complaint.
Who's the person that's raising her hand that's irritating
I would
me?
agree. Except for I just didn't have the
Who's
opportunity.
the person raising their hand that's irritating me?
This is my fiance. And she's the person who lived with me at this place, not lived, but came and stayed at my place. Or not
So
our
it
place,
wasn't
excuse me.
only his girlfriend that stayed. Your
No.
girlfriend stayed too.
I'm sorry.
Just a second.
4 or 5 days a week.
So it wasn't only his girlfriend that stayed. It was your girlfriend that stayed.
My girlfriend would come there every other weekend and spend
So?
the weekend. Correct.
So she stayed. And if she didn't like living there because of the cold and the mold, she wouldn't have come.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Should have gone to her house. But not stand there and kvetch, sir, that you didn't like the circumstances and you stayed anyway. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,250. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Crystal Anderson says former roommate Dr. Leonardo Rodriguez owes for the return of her security deposit. Leonardo is countersuing for the return of a computer modem.
Miss Anderson, you rented a room from the defendant in his house?
In a house, yes.
In a house. Do you live in the house also, sir?
Yes, I do.
And the intention was for you to live there for a year, although you did not have a written lease.
Correct.
It was your understanding that there was some sort of internet capacity in the house because you worked from the house.
Correct.
Did you have a discussion with the defendant about that?
About it before I moved in or it
Yes,
not working?
before.
Yes.
In any event, you moved in and you found out that you could not work from the house because there was no, I don't know, Zoom, internet, whatever it is. I don't do that machine. And you told him you were going to be moving out.
After it did
You
not
want
work.
your security deposit back. The defendant says that you broke the lease that you had with him because he was supposed to stay there for a year even though you did not have a written lease. And even though he rented your apartment or your room, he doesn't have an obligation to return your security deposit. In addition, he says that you took a piece of property that belonged to the house, some sort of a modem. So let's get to his counterclaim to begin with. Do you have his modem?
No.
Did you take his modem?
No.
What makes you think she took your modem?
Well, I have a photograph of the modem in the house under her desk at the time that she moved out, and it's gone along with the other property. So I can only assume that she has it along with the other things that were in the room.
Is it possible you have his modem somewhere?
I did look. I don't have it. But I can also tell you that the desk that it was behind, I didn't remove from the room.
Who did?
The roommate that moved in. He had to disassemble it.
Okay, I removed the desk along with the roommate and removed the plasma television from the wall and put it outside.
She doesn't have your modem. She doesn't have your modem and she doesn't look like a thief.
I agree.
Good. So we've taken care of your counterclaim.
Well,
She doesn't have
well,
it.
not quite. I don't know if she has it. I don't
She
think
says she doesn't have it and you have no proof that she took it.
I have proof that it was under her desk at the time that she moved out, and now it's nowhere to be found. Time
Well,
Warner?
you have a new roommate in there.
Right.
Maybe the new roommate took it when you were disassembling it.
We've gone through the entire room. We've
Just
looked
a second.
for it.
I didn't say that you haven't gone through the entire room. Maybe he took it. Maybe he's the thief. You don't think so?
Well, I never actually.
No. You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think she is either. Doesn't a lady who has a responsible position, who gave you a substantial security deposit, who paid her rent on time when she was living there, would steal something from you and then look at me in the eye and say, I don't have it. I didn't take it. I don't have it.
I mean, you say that she's a responsible person. I don't necessarily think that's true. I mean, who agrees to a 1-year lease and then leaves 4 months after it?
I'm going to tell you somebody, sir. She. And now she's going to tell me why she left. You gave him a security deposit in the amount of $2,500?
The security deposit was just $1,250.
Okay.
It was in addition to
it's clear, Mr. Rodriguez, because there's no allegation, that she left the room in other than reasonable conditions. So
Absolutely.
The only reason you're not returning her security deposit is because she breached the lease.
Correct.
Okay. When did you move in?
August 10th.
Did you pay August's rent?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you pay September's rent?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
What about October?
Paid the rent in full.
And November?
Paid the rent in full.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And when did you tell the defendant that you were leaving?
In the middle of October.
Did you tell him why?
Yes.
What did you tell him?
I told him that the internet continued to have problems and would continually break down, and therefore I would spend numerous hours continuing to try to make it work, try to connect it, and if it didn't, I'd have to call Time Warner.
And what did he say?
He said that he didn't realize that it was that big of an inconvenience, that he would have done more about it if he'd known that it was going to make me move out of the house.
The first time that I had heard that it was a problem was at the point that she was moving out. I had no idea when she moved in that she was planning to run her business or her part of her business out of the room.
Did she tell you that she needed internet connection, sir?
Absolutely.
And what did you tell her about
That
it?
there's internet connection that we all use. All 4 other people that live in the house are still to this day using an internet connection. However, it doesn't run at the speed that she needs to run her business. I never knew that she needed a specific speed to be run.
Is it slow running?
It runs average. It runs normal for me.
It would break down in my part of the room. It was split. The last time Time Warner had come to the house, they had spliced it so many times, according to what they say, that they would
Tell me what they said to you. But you told him in mid-October. Mm-hmm. And you moved out in December.
December 1st.
When did the new roommate move in?
December 6th.
The new roommate's name is?
Lee,
How much was your rent each month?
$1,250.
And what is Lee's rent?
$1,250.
Did he pay December's rent?
Not in full.
In what amount did he not pay?
He paid minus 5 days of rent. I'm not sure the exact dollar amount.
Okay. Did you have all your property out by December 1st?
Minus a plasma TV and a desk.
So you did not have all your property out by December 1st.
Correct.
When was all of your property out?
I know for sure it was all out as of the 4th.
So you overstayed your stay by 4 days?
Yes.
Okay. You cannot profit, sir, from a situation that was handled totally appropriately. She did not damage the property. She gave you notice.
She absolutely did damage the property, Your Honor. I have proof that she damaged the property.
Oh, well, you didn't say that. Wait a second. Hold on a second. I want to see if you said that in your answer. Did you? Would you please show this to Mr. Rodriguez? That's his sworn answer. Would you please have him point out in his answer where he says that he's not returning her security deposit because she damaged the property?
I asked her to remove the trash, but she never did. I had to hire a repairman to clean out the trash, repair the walls, and change the locks.
Repair what wall, sir?
So the plasma television that she says that she moved out, or that I took down myself and put outside, left behind a number of large holes in the wall.
Show me your bill for fixing the holes in the wall.
This is the bill for fixing the holes in the wall.
Okay.
This is the estimate that it would have cost to remove all of those things and put them outside.
No. All I want is fixing the holes in the wall.
Your Honor, if I was...
Why did you change the locks?
Well, I didn't know Crystal before she moved in, and I...
Sir, you want to change the locks, change the locks. That's what you do as a landlord.
But, Your Honor, if I was in the business of being a landlord and...
Listen to me, sir. I want to see a picture of the wall, and I want to see a bill for spackling the hole in the wall. Period. Okay.
Your Honor, we had a 1-year lease agreement.
You did not have a 1-year lease, sir. 1-year lease has to be in writing. Otherwise, it's a month to month. She gave you a month's notice. She gave you more than a month's notice.
Your Honor, we had a verbal lease agreement.
No, you have a lease agreement, sir, when it's in writing if it's for a year or more. Other than that, you have a month-to-month tenancy. And if you want something more than that, and if you want to lay out your rights and responsibilities, go get a form lease and sign it, and then you have a lease for a year or more. Do you understand? The only reason I am charging her the extra days is because she actually had property in your house. And if she actually has property, even if it's in the hall, that means she's still a tenant. So she didn't vacate December 1st. She actually kept property there for at least 4 days. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt for the 5th day because that's when you moved the new roommate in. So I am deducting $200.
Your Honor, the lease that you say is month to month. If I was interested in a beach rental for month to month, I would have charged much more than $1,250 a
And you
month.
do whatever you want to do. You want to lease your place for a year or more, get a written lease that outlines everybody's responsibility. Other than that, you have a month-to-month tenancy. Most jurisdictions that I know. Now, it may be different from where you are, but any contract that has a duration for a year or more is supposed to be in writing. And if you choose not to do that, you do so at your own peril, sir. And you cannot profit from it. You didn't lose any money. You rented the room and took an additional security deposit. You didn't lose a month's rent. Ms. Anderson did absolutely the appropriate thing. She let you know in October that she was vacating in December, so she gave you more than 30 days to find a new roommate. You did, in fact, find a new tenant who paid you the exact same amount of money that she did, and I'm deleting from her request the amount that covers the 5 days that your tenant didn't pay for the month of December, giving you more than she's actually liable for because she's not liable for more than 30 days. But she kept stuff there, so she is, in fact, responsible for at least part of it. So you owe her $950. I am taking off $200 for the overstay because you lived there past December 1st, and I'm taking off $100 to plaster the wall. Okay. By the way, where did the new tenant put his TV?
He doesn't have a hanging television.
$950. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you. That's all.
Harry and Greg Martin are suing their former friend, Darren Trinchero, for the return of money from an insurance settlement. Darren claims the money is his.
Mr. and Mrs. Martin, you purchased an automobile from the defendant, who was a friend of yours. And according to you, the agreement was you would make payments on this car because, I don't know, did you have a loan outstanding on the car?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at the end of when the loan was satisfied, he would turn the title over to you. You maintained the car, you paid insurance on the car, and then the car was in an accident.
That's correct.
According to you, the defendant told you that he had received a small settlement check for the accident, but you were also injured in that accident.
Yes.
And when you received your settlement, you ascertained that he had received thousands of dollars for the car.
That's correct.
And you feel as if that money should be yours. Mr. Trinchero says he doesn't think so. So I need some information. When did you purchase this car, Mr. Trinchero?
Back in 04, and I do have a copy of that document.
I'd like to see it, please.
There you go.
You purchased this car September 14th, 2004.
Yes, ma'am.
And you paid $6,500.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you purchase the car from Mr. Trinchero?
In March 2005.
When in March?
March 3rd.
So, Mr. Trinchero, you had the car for 5 months.
Yes, ma'am.
How much were the payments?
$249.09.
And I have to add in your down payment, which was $1,500. So your entire investment in this car, Mr. Trinchero, was $2,745.
Yes, that sounds correct.
Now, you took over these payments in March of 2005.
That's correct.
And when was the car totaled?
November 13th, 2006.
And you were paying $249.09.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's figure that out. You see where I'm going, Mr. Trinchero?
Yes, ma'am.
So they invested in the car $5,229.
Right.
Now, how much of a check did you get for the car, sir, when the car was totaled?
The value of the car check was $4,900, which I have a copy of here.
Let me see it.
There you go.
Your Honor.
Shh, just a minute. $4,549.
Right, yes,
What'd you
ma'am.
get this for?
That was for the balance of the car that was worth, because I was the lien holder on the car, the owner of the car. After,
Why should you get all this money?
Because during the agreement, back on 03 of 04, there were many stipulations to the contract, such as carrying insurance on the vehicle, also notifying me of any address changes that they had or any.
Oh, stop it. You're being a big baby and you're nitpicking, Mr. Trinchero. Mr. Trinchero, let me ask you this question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
If they finished paying off the car in 3 months and it hadn't been in an accident, would they have gotten the title?
Not if they would not have carried full coverage insurance like our
What
contract
difference
said.
would it have made?
Because I accepted liability for the car.
Just a second. Mr. Trinchero, did you pay for the insurance?
Yes, I did. I carried it till 2006, which was not part of our
Just a
agreement.
second. You paid for the insurance.
Right.
Until when?
From the beginning of the contract until 3/3 of 06.
3/3 of 06. The car was in an accident in November of 06.
Right, I had coverage on the vehicle at the time.
You just told me that you had coverage in the vehicle until March of 06.
Right, 3/3 of 06 was my
Well,
coverage.
March would be the third month of
Yes,
the year,
ma'am.
sir.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
The accident happened in November.
Right.
Your Honor, at the first 6 months that we had the car, that we were paying him an additional $50 a month to keep us on his policy.
Can I see that, please?
Well, this here is just the copies of the.
I just want to see any checks
Oh,
that are
it's,
above, I'm speaking, the 24909.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I interject something there, please?
Listen, Mr. Trinchero, you're a hustler, and you did the wrong thing. And what you're supposed to do, since you got your finger caught in this miserable pot, you're supposed to say, you know what, let's see if we can find some median. I shouldn't get a windfall over and above what I paid for a 10-year-old car.
Well,
right? Hey, pay attention.
Right.
I shouldn't get a windfall because a car doesn't appreciate in value. A car loses value.
Right.
So you put in $2,700. You got twice as much as you put in, and you're not entitled to it. You're here in a court of equity, sir.
Right.
And if you only put in $2,700, unless this car was a mint Ferrari, you're not entitled to make money on it. Do I make myself clear?
Right, I'm not trying to make money.
You are trying to make money on it because your whole investment was $2,745.
I believe I assumed liability for this vehicle, and I lost something because of that. And
Well, you
my
think wrong. Hey, Mr. Trinchero, you think wrong.
Okay.
You may have rationalized your bad behavior and your dishonesty with these people in your own mind because you laid there and you said, well, now they sent me a check because I'm on the title to the car. How do I justify not giving them at least some of this money? Well, let me see. They let Homer drive the car twice, and they weren't supposed to do that. They were supposed to keep the car in insurance and not take it out of the state. And I know they went on vacation once and they took the car to Florida. Hey, I'm speaking. That's what you did. You laid in bed and tried to figure out how you could justify being dishonest. And that doesn't fly here. You don't justify being dishonest when you come into a court of equity, Mr. Trinchero.
Right.
It's dishonest, and it was the wrong thing to do. What you should have done is said, listen, we got this money. You invested $52.29 in the car. I invested $27.45. The whole idea was for me to get off the hook paying for the car because I didn't want this car anymore after 5 months. You did.
Yep.
Because
That's not correct.
Hey, listen.
Not correct.
If you didn't want to sell it to them, you wouldn't have sold it to them. Did you get another car, Mr. Trinchero?
I had another car before I sold it to them. And I had no use for this, and Greg had no car. Being a friend of his, I felt that it would be an equitable thing to do that. But he did not fulfill his end of the bargain in the contract, which I thought was legal.
You purchased a
Well,
brand new
just
car.
hey.
I thought this was a legal contract, and it was violated many times.
Then
And
what you have to do if it was violated many times is take the car back.
Exactly.
Shut up.
And we did
Which
try to do that several
you did
times.
not do.
We took many actions to do that.
No, I didn't say did you take many actions, Mr. Trinchero. Did you take the car back?
We could not locate them.
Oh, you're so full of baloney, sir. You could locate them when you got the check. That you managed to locate them. When they
No, I
got the
did not.
check, you
They
managed to
notified me
locate them.
first
Very,
when there was
very
an
bad,
accident.
sir. I don't know how you sleep with yourself at night. I wouldn't want you to be my friend.
I don't see where he's entitled to any amount of the check from the insurance company that mailed him that check.
He's not.
Okay.
If he had been what we call a mensch, that means a good person,
Okay.
a good, honorable person, you probably would have sat down and said, listen, you got a little extra money. I'm going to get a little extra money because I put in $5,200, but I drove the car. I mean, you don't expect to get 100% value on your car if something happens. You might have made some kind of an accommodation. But since he was a pig, he loses everything. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $42.74.
Thank you, Your
all.
John Sanderlin says ex-girlfriend Christina Taylor owes for the return of child support and attorney fees. John claims Christina lied about the paternity of her child.
Mr. Sanderlin, Miss Taylor has a child. You and Miss Taylor were together for a period of time before the child was born. But it appears now at the time that you met, she was already pregnant by someone else, and the child is not yours. According to you, you didn't know that at the time.
Yes, ma'am.
And when the child was born, you put your name on the child's birth certificate and obligated yourself to take care of the boy or a girl?
Girl.
Girl. Very shortly after the child was born, you and Miss Taylor separated, and she went back to the child's father. I assume this gentleman here. According to you, time passed, and you were hauled into court for child support. Had to hire a lawyer. You were already in arrears. They took money out of your salary. Couldn't get that garnishment lifted without a lawyer. So you want Miss Taylor to pay you back for all of your expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
In addition, even after the order was lifted, 2 additional checks were taken out of your pay. Ms. Taylor received them and cashed them. You want those 2 back. Let's deal with those 2 first. Ms. Taylor, when did you get the last 2 checks?
Beginning of October,
For how much?
$136 a piece.
बैठे चाय कॉफी पकोड़े फ्राई चिकन
बिजली गई बल 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 सारा जनरेटर में चलता है क्या गेस्ट हाउस की कीमत ही होती
पानी किधर गया Dense.
कौन सा
चाय खा अंधी भी चाय खा खा सिगरी है तो है पानी पी लो ना तेरा खवाया था ये तो पापा नजर दिकाशा का नहीं है बाबा एक दिन धुंध है ये मॉल नहीं का ना अभी हाँ तबिया मॉल है हर कौन का ना